You see here, kid? You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump. And you might think, what if I fall? Well, what if you don't?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, it's Dave with LTD Media. Today on the Now You Know podcast, I have Victoria Jones with me, who is a phenomenal photographer. She's going to give us some insight about what she does, and she's going to cover some influences and other things that are important to her. Before we go any further, I'd like to give her the time here and introduce herself.
Thank you, David. I feel like I already know you guys.
Yeah.
My name is Victoria Jones. I am a wedding and portrait photographer, Arizona based. I am available for travel, and yeah, I do photography, and it's something that I've been doing for 3 years now. So that's exciting. I'll have my actually 3rd year anniversary in August, so upcoming.
Awesome.
And anticipating it.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm not, I know you were saying, feel like you already know us, and we will, cover the fact that we actually did a podcast already together a couple days ago, but, you know, unfortunately, sometimes technical difficulties happen, and for whatever strange reason, we had an issue that has never come up before occur, but, we owe it to our guests, and we contacted you right away and say, hey, we need to correct this and let's fix these things. And it was totally all on our end as far as the sound issue. And we thank you for coming back.
Yeah, of course. This was so much fun the first time.
Yeah.
So I was like, the second time is going to be another fun time. So I absolutely, when I got the message, I was like, that's going to be great. It was going to be exciting. It's exciting for me to come back and talk to you again.
Well, we appreciate it so much, and I'm sure our listeners do as well. So let's talk about the photography stuff that you're involved with. I think it's really cool to talk about your work because your work pops. Mm-hmm. And when I see your images, they stand out from a lot of other photographers that I've seen, especially in the area doing wedding stuff and all that. And I've explained that to you and expressed it. I'm like, yeah, your images just pop. And it really just captures your eye. And before the photography and stuff occurred, there was a bunch of other things that happened. So how did we get here to photography? What occurred? Yeah.
I feel like I always share like the long version and I need to rehearse a condensed version because we'll be here for 30 minutes just talking about it.
That's okay.
So I, started in the finance industry. I'm very open about that. I feel like we all have stories to tell, especially prior to what, today looks like. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you share your story, it's just a testament that other people can relate to. So I'm very open with, where I came from, who I am kind of thing, and like how we got here. But I was in the finance industry for about 7 years, and I loved working in a bank setting and working with investments and finances. That really is a passion of mine. The nice thing about photography is that I can kind of intertwine the two passions. So I do, mentoring sessions for beginner photographers.
Nice.
And we kind of go over those things. And I feel like that's something that other photographers aren't necessarily teaching. So, and we talked about this last time, like setting yourself apart from others in the industry. Mm-hmm. Of course, creating sense of community and like cheering for others in your industry as well. But, having like that certain niche or that certain special something about you that is the reason why, people want to come and work with you. Mm-hmm. But after working in the finance industry for 7 years, it was wonderful because I gained like the experience of building relationships with people and just really getting to know people outside of just their money. Mm-hmm. Although that's what we were there to talk about, it was more or less me being able to connect and network and build, like I said, relationships are long-term versus just a meeting is, very short-term and you're kind of just a number in and out. And I didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to be that. And I certainly didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So although I was in that type of industry where you're just kind of seeing the next person, the next person, I was like, how can I actually make this more of like that environment that that I desired. So after kind of thinking that the finance industry was going to be my hurrah, like my lifelong career,
Yeah.
I really was, I had convinced myself that it was going to be very corporate and like moving up a corporate ladder for me in my life.
Yeah.
I thought maybe after banker, I was going to go into management positions, and then from there just kind of see, where it goes. And I did actually get a management position to move to Seattle, Washington.
Oh, wow.
And to go from, to there from Tucson, Arizona, where it's very sunny. And like, you can go out any given day.
Shock.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just hot, But I've heard that Seattle, Washington, I've never been, but I've heard that it's very like rainy most of the time. And then at the time, I had a 2-year-old daughter, and she was in the best of care here in Tucson because my grandmother would watch her as, I was working. So when I was in that transition of like, okay, am I going to, take on this management role and ship my entire family, to Seattle, Washington, I kind of took a step back and was like, let me reassess everything that's kind of going on right now, and I didn't want to kind of take my daughter out of like best care. Yeah. And I think that whole situation, really that moment was a teaching moment for me because it taught me that, but that I had to prioritize someone else other than me when making career choices. So for me, it was my daughter, I had to put her first, and I, gladly put her first, and I wanted to, that's something I think as like a parent, that's just what you naturally do,
Yeah, that takes a lot.
Yeah, it was hard because it's something that you've built, right? Like you've seen yourself start as like a teller and work your way up this corporate ladder, as I say, and then kind of take a step back and say, what, I'm going to sacrifice, I'm going to put my family first versus myself and my hard work and like what I've had to do to get to this point.
Yeah.
So I really had to, and at the time I had investment licenses, that was hard in itself.
Yeah.
So those were all things that I really didn't want to give up. But at the same time, and I could have stayed in Tucson. I could have remained, not necessarily in a management position, but, stay working with investments. But I knew at that point, I was just like, I feel like I have potential that like I'm not tapping into because I'm staying. So, not stagnant, but in a sense, because I had been in the industry for 7 years. And although you get like promoted, you kind of just feel like you're going through the motions.
Yeah, absolutely.
If your passion isn't in it. And like I say, I had passion for it. I have passion for numbers. I have passion for, just finance and managing your wealth, or getting to the point of wealth. But yeah, so those were all things that were moving parts at that time. And what ended up happening is I did stay in Tucson. I decided, okay, I'm going to put her first, and we're just going to keep rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep putting my best foot forward, and I'm going to keep building those relationships. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I feel like that's going to open, doorways in the future. I just knew at that time it wasn't necessarily my time to make a huge move yet.
Yeah.
And then fast forward like 3.5 years later, almost 4 years, I had twins. We got married, and then I had twins, and that's something that was unexpected. I remember the doctor told me, because I had asked, you can't tell me the gender right now, can you? Because I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And the doctor, said, no, I can't tell you, but I can tell you something else. And those words, like my heart, even to this day, I get like goosebumps. I'm like, what do you mean you can tell me something else? And he just said, I can tell you that you're having 2. And so still working in the finance industry, once they were born, in here, then it was, again, one of those moments where I had to reassess and have that same, almost, I had that same feeling of like you knew there was a new chapter coming and that you had to turn the page, but you just didn't necessarily know what the story was going to look like, you know? And that, for a lot of people, I think I speak for a lot of people when they say it's very like fearful to not know the next step, you know, or like the next outcome. Or I'm very much like, I love to play things very not safe necessarily, but I will make a decision based off of probability. Like what are my, you know, chances of being successful in the next chapter.
Yeah.
But then also I have moments in my life where I took the risk, you know, where I was just like, okay, you just got to do it, you know, because you've been playing it safe for so long that you just got to like go for it. So, and I'll get to that part, but
Can't wait.
So anyhow, when the twins were here, the cost of, you know, I mean, you're having a baby soon.
Yeah, I am, yes.
So you're going to be anticipating, you know, just the cost of raising, you know, a little one. And it just didn't make logical sense, really, to have 2 children in childcare. I basically was going to be paying for them, you know, to be there. So I was like, this doesn't necessarily make sense for us as a family now any longer.
Yeah.
So after that realization, I basically was telling my husband, we were just having a conversation, you know, what would it look like if I actually stayed home? And my husband, he's super positive. Like, people meet me and they're like, you're so positive. And I'm like, wait till you meet my husband. Because he's like, the possibilities are endless, you know? And it's helpful to have somebody, you know, alongside you like that. Because I feel like you go further when you're just, you know, you both have this mindset of like, as long as you are trying and you're working hard towards a goal, you will achieve it, you know?
Yeah.
So anyhow, so he was very, as you can imagine, positive about, well, if that's what you would like to do, like, I say go for it. And
That's so
sometimes
awesome.
it's like, that's not the response I really wanted.
Challenge me.
Yeah,
now.
like that, exactly. And I'm like, wait, really? Like, you really are okay with me staying home? Like, that was just such a far-fetched idea, I think, because I feel like, you know, you get used to like a 2-income household for so long. I mean, you're both working, you're both in this routine, you're both used to this, you've adapted to this lifestyle of like, this is just life and this is what we do. For many, it's like that. So for that was my reality for sure. And so then I realized, okay, well, my husband's with it. And I'm actually okay with the idea. And it logically just doesn't make sense financially. So I said, you know, let's do it. I was like, let's stay. I'm going to stay home. And like that made my heart beam with joy to be able to be there with my girls now and be able to see, you know, their first steps and, you know, hear their first words and like just all those exciting milestones that any parent, you know, can't wait for.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, this is awesome. I remember the first week staying at home, though, was like an adjustment because I had been working since I was 15 years old, you know, every day. And I remember getting like on my hands and knees and cleaning my baseboards. That's how like bored I was. Of course, like the girls, you know, when they were napping, I could like, you know, I'm going to like deep clean my house, you know, but so that didn't last though too long. And then like 3-4 months into it, I kind of was just like kind of itching to like start working. But I knew it wasn't like something that I was just going to have to wait years for that, you know, or maybe when they get back into school and things like that. But I remember during that year when we had the twins, my husband bought me a camera for Christmas, kind of an early Christmas present. And it was like a bundle that you could literally get at Costco for like $400. And it was a Canon camera. I think it was like the Rebel T6.
Yeah.
And I literally fell in love with it. Like, it was just such a cool experience because I felt like it was something new that I could spend my time, you know, learning and kind of just challenging myself, I think when you're at work and you're in a work setting, you're being challenged constantly every single day. And although staying home with kids is a challenge, I was kind of like still wanting to learn a different, aspect or just challenge myself to see, is this something that I could learn,
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
And not necessarily just throw the camera on auto and take photos and start snapping away. And so after that Christmas, I remember just kind of telling my husband, well, I want to document everything, like everything the girls do. I want to put them in those cute little outfits that you see like all over social media.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do it myself. I like totally convinced myself I'm already a photographer. I'm all day one photographer.
Certified.
Yeah, exactly. That was absolutely like the attitude behind it all. And I just started, doing like little styled shoots with my girls. And eventually, after posting them to like social media myself, I would have friends and family kind of reach out to me and just ask me, do you take photos for others other than your family? And I nervously said, well, I could try. I don't know if you want me to take the pictures, but if you do, if you're up for it and you want me to take your photos, I absolutely will. I'm not going to say no, but just know, like, I'm not I would by no means call myself a professional then. And so I remember, like, after doing friends and family for quite some time, I was just like, hey, maybe I can like branch out and maybe offer it, to other people that maybe don't know me. Well, I didn't necessarily have to do anything before word of mouth kind of was like, referring me to so-and-so's friend and so-and-so's friend, whom I had no idea who they were. And I remember this family came to me. It was a mom, and she told me Christmas was coming up again, and she said, can I have, my family portraits taken by you? And again, I told her, I have just shot friends and family. Like, I do this for fun, like on the weekends when my husband is home with the girls, And she was like, no, I like love your work. The things that she had to say about my work, I was just like, oh my gosh, she really wants to work with me.
Well, it speaks for itself. So,
but back then, no, it didn't, David.
Someone believed it.
Exactly. And you know what? I was so grateful, for people who, see just potential in someone. And that's why I've vowed to mentor beginner photographers, because it's like, don't sleep on the people who are just starting their journey. If they're consistent and they do the hard work, they too will become someone, and you will want to work with them.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, why not share the knowledge and your experience that you've worked so hard for and kind of pass that down? So that family who reached out to me, I was just like, oh my gosh, they want to work with me. And of course you get so excited because this is like your first gig.
Yeah.
And she was willing to pay. She did not like take no for an answer, because that's what I was used to. Just like free, I'll do it for free kind of thing. And then she ended up loving her photos, and I was like hooked from then. I'm like, this is the most awesome situation and like gig that I've ever done, really. And my friends and family, they would say like, I love the photos. These are great. Like, they would keep coming back to me. But then I'm like, well, it's starting to take up a lot of my time. And I'm like, at that point, you're like, well, I need to kind of look into turning this into a business to hopefully become something, that will, in my mind, I wanted it to kind of supplement what I was making at the bank. And I knew it wasn't going to be an easy road. I knew it wasn't going to be, a piece of cake, but I knew that I had it within me, that potential that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
I knew I had it. I just hadn't tapped into it quite yet because I didn't know what that chapter would look like. And I feel like if people kind of view their life that way, even though I don't know what tomorrow will look like, I can actually make it look like what I want it to look like if I actually just show up.
Yeah.
Like if I just put aside the fear, and I'm not saying to not fear, because I do think that there are people out there that actually thrive off of fear in a healthy way. Like kind of under pressure. They
Yeah.
do well under pressure.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's me. If I have like, for school, for instance, if I had a deadline, I would write, and I procrastinated. There's a second part to that sentence. If I procrastinated and then did the assignment and I knew like I got to turn this in by midnight on Thursday,
Yeah.
I would write the most awesome essay, because I feel like there's pressure to it to meet the guideline or the deadline, So I'm not saying to not feel the fear
Yeah.
or to kind of like push away and subside that emotion. I think that a lot of the time, if you just embrace it and you say, okay, I recognize and I realize that I'm fearful of doing X, Y, Z, but I'm going to actually embrace that feeling and then take that first step in with that feeling and like take it with me, because eventually you'll turn that fear into drive or into motivation or into another completely different feeling, completely opposite. But you just have to kind of move through that fear versus ignore it or let it overcome you and completely stop you.
Yeah.
See what I mean? There's no condensed version of that.
No, it's an incredible story though. So you took a huge risk.
Yeah.
Not only did you walk away from something, because I think we can agree that humans, for the most part, are creatures of comfort.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with two incomes coming into a household, it's really easy to be comfortable, especially when you got a bunch of nice stuff and
Right.
everything's wonderful and
Yes.
everybody's happy. But you felt in your heart there was something more that you wanted to do, and that's your entrepreneurial spirit. I can't
Yes.
talk right now. Spirit. Oh man. But you're an entrepreneur, so you
Yeah.
took this risk.
Right.
And one of the coolest things, so I've been doing this business here, the studio, LTD Media, and I want to pick your brain on this. Was it not a rush the first time somebody paid you to do what you do?
Right. Absolutely. I think
It's like, whoa.
I went from little baby newborn shoots
Yeah.
to like, oh, I'm out in the middle of a field and somebody's paying me to do this.
Yeah.
And it's so fun for me,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't necessarily, I don't claim to have been born with the passion. Some people are born and they know they want to be photographers.
Yeah.
I would say my daughter, probably because she sees mommy, and let me tell you, she has an eye. I'm like, you're coming for my job.
Yeah.
But some people just have this
predecessor.
innate nature to have this eye for photography and telling stories. Some people, get the bug in like middle school or high school when you're able to take a photography class.
Yeah.
I didn't. My saving grace, I always call it, or my blessing, really was the twins. I was like the entrepreneurial, how do you say the word? See, I can't even say it.
If you think about it too hard, it just doesn't come out right. You got to just do it on a whim.
Owning your own business.
Entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes, there you go. You got
Yeah.
it. So having that spirit, like, definitely started, I think, with them. Like, I would have never found that spirit and just like that in your heart feeling to stop playing it so safe. Like, and I'm not saying, spend every dollar in your account to like go, follow your dreams. No, I'm saying like, obviously do it smart. Realistically, yes.
Yeah.
And very logically. For me, logically, like I said, it didn't make sense to have 2 kids in childcare when it was going to equate my income.
Yeah. Yeah.
So logically, I actually made the right choice. Is like, okay, I have to stay home. I want to stay home, and this is what I want to like put all of my energy into now is like my home, my family. And no brainer. Like it was like absolutely, I think everything else just kind of falls into place when you make that logical right decision, But yeah, absolutely. I feel like when they paid me, I went home and I told my husband, we have $50. We have $50 more dollars.
we
Like
doing with
I
this?
literally, and that's what I said. Do you want to go to dinner?
Yes.
Like,
Let's celebrate.
I'm all, let's go to the nicest restaurant with $50. I'm all, you'll have to get the remaining balance, but I've got the 50. But it was awesome. Honestly, I think if that family, maybe if I would have felt rejected by them and they didn't, if it was like a horrible experience and they did not like their photos and they were upset or something like that, then maybe we wouldn't be talking today. I'm like, maybe I would have given up that dream, but I'm just so grateful for that one who
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
because from there on, it's just been amazing. Like, if it's kind of crazy to think from where you started of being very like, I remember having feelings of, they call it the imposter syndrome, where you kind of see other people's work and you're comparing yourself and you're saying, I'm not good like that. I'm not good like that person. Or I am not going to be able to do what that person does. Look how amazing their work is. Like,
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near that level. But really, it's like they are where they are. You have no idea the journey that they've had to
Whole
walk.
backstory.
Yeah, to get there. And I feel like with social media, it's very easy to post up a picture and people just like, love it and like yada, yada, yada. But it's like there's a lot of back end story that is underneath that. And that's what really drove that person to get to that level where they are,
Yeah.
And so forever after that family session, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like, this is where I feel a sense of like self-fulfillment. And I didn't get that from the bank. I knew that this was a different feeling. This was like a different, I'm okay waking up at 4 a.m. to answer emails, or I'm okay to wake up at 4 a.m. to go meet somebody for a sunrise photo shoot.
Yeah.
I'm okay to stay up till 2 a.m. editing all night long. You know what I mean? Versus at the bank, I was just like, I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. to make it to our 7 a.m. meeting, or 7:30, whatever time it was. I don't miss it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really nice. So, how about you? Did you do you get payment from clients and like your first time? Did you have that same rush?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it was a rush from not only the payment, but actually helping them. Like, because I don't know, maybe you do this too with your pictures. Like, I picture the joy that they're getting from receiving what they are looking for.
Absolutely.
And that, along with the money, it's not all about the money, but we got bills to pay and we want to pay
Right.
employees and stuff. But
Right.
that all together, it just lit this fire.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I can do this. I want to do this. I want to do this all the time. I want to do
Yeah.
it 24 hours a day if I could. Like, I just want to like help people, and I want to make, things happen. I want to grow the
Right.
business because, the one person, but I want thousands. I want hundreds
Yeah.
of thousands. I want to do that on like such a large scale. So yeah, it got me one step closer to my dream.
Right. Exactly.
And
I agree. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think for myself as well, it wasn't the payment necessarily. It was more or less like I'm actually getting paid to do what I love. And I think when you find that thing,
yeah.
you may not know, because I know a lot of people like, they in college, what is it called? Your gen eds. Like you do your general, credits.
Yeah.
Because they don't necessarily know what they want to be. And I don't feel like you have to. I feel like if you stay still, though, you're
Yeah.
never going to find that thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, I'm an Enneagram 1. I don't know if you guys know Enneagram. Do you know the Enneagram scale? No. It's like a personality test, and it tells you, what kind of personality traits that you have, which I should already know, but I'm like, I did it for fun.
I'm gonna have to try this.
Yeah, look it up because it's pretty cool. The Enneagram ones, they're very like perfectionist and things like that. So for me, I had to overcome the feeling of needing to know every, outcome. And so what I would do a lot of the time is kind of not make a decision and just stay still. And for 7, 8 years, almost 10 years, like I was just playing it so safe because I was afraid to make a decision and really afraid of like failing, to be honest.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
And so, but now, like walking in the journey that I've walked now, and knowing that the risk actually led me to finding that passion.
Yeah.
Like if I go back, and do it again, I would do it the exact same way. Like
So
I would be absolutely okay with the doubt. I would be okay with like not knowing if we could make it on a one income, household kind of thing. And because it's just been so beautiful. And I think the thing of it is like, once you find your passion and you're able to make an income from what you love, you're okay. Like you said, you were just like, I want to do this and I want it to grow.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when it's your reputation and your name and your business and you see it grow into something that you envisioned in your head a long time ago, like that's that self-fulfillment type of, you're seeing this dream come to life.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Undoubtedly. So you talk about the fear of failing in that, and we talk about being realistic and stuff, but we can both agree that they happen still. And whether they're on like their mini little failures and you go, oh man, that wasn't that big of a deal, I can fix that.
Right.
Or they're a little bit bigger and they take a little more time to heal or fix,
Yes.
Are there any particular failures that you've gone through that help you grow, and are there any big triumphs that have happened recently or anything that have gotten you to this like next level in your business?
For sure. I'll answer the first one, the failures. When we talked about this the first time, I feel like I gave a really weak answer. And I thought about it, and when you ponder about things, you're just like, oh, I could have said that, And the first failure I think that comes to my mind is just not being that first generation to have graduated college. I think that one took a lot of time to heal because your family has certain expectations of you.
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
loved ones surrounding you, that just want to see the best for you.
Yeah.
They just want to see you do something that the family hasn't done before, and they're like, super excited for you. And I love school. That's the thing, is that it was hard for me to kind of swallow because I love studying. I love reading. I love all the things. I love taking tests. People are like, you're crazy. But I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I like to, I guess you can say studious or what have you, and just learning in general.
Yeah.
And I remember, getting a scholarship for college and, took care of all of my tuition and everything. And I get like all even just talking about it, but I had a scholarship and everything to go, and everything was great. The first year, like I was out there, it was in the middle of nowhere, so really all you could do is study.
Where were you? Where were you?
So I was actually over in Coolidge, Arizona. I don't know if you know where that is, but like I think it's in between Casa Grande and Phoenix, and there's just like absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
So the friends that I made, we would just go to the library and study. Like that was just, and I think that's very strategic. I'm like, I think they planted this college here because that's the outcome that they wanted,
Yeah.
And I honestly think that I tell you, I have a passion for finance. And I remember calling my mom one day and I said, I want to make money. And I know that sounds like really, what is the word? Not facetious. I can't even talk today, but I don't know. I had this like feeling that I just really wanted to work. And my mom was like, no, you're 18. You're going on 19. Like, you need to slow down, like get your degree, and then you can go to work for the rest of your life, is what she would tell me. And I was like, yeah, that's all great and dandy, but like I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I have no car, and I can't even like come back home and visit you guys as often as I'd like
Yeah.
because I have no form of like transportation. And although I knew, like deep down I knew, if I stick this out, I get my degree, you know, it'll pay off in the long run, just like anything, like your hard work, you know, and then you obtain that degree, you earn it, you got it, you know, and then you can like go off and make the money. I just felt like those 4 years, I think back then you just think 4 years is like an eternity, you know, and you're like, oh, 4 years just is too long.
Yeah.
And you just feel, I felt like personally, I wasn't making any money. I didn't have any form of transportation. I think my parents were paying like my phone bill. I just didn't feel like established because I had mentioned before, I was working since I was 15. So I got a job at Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And so then I worked, you know, throughout high school, and then you take me out of high school and you go put me in like a, I'm like, I don't want to say, yeah, exactly. So I was just like, you know, this is so different for me, and I don't like it. I do not like, you know, not earning any form of income. And my mom was like, no, you can't. I literally asked her, can I just transfer to Pima Community College? And I said, I'll, you know, transfer over my credits. I'll see, you know, I'll apply for scholarships. I know I'll get it. I have a great, you know, GPA. And she said no. And so what do? I like rebelled, and that's not a good thing. And that's why I say it's a failure, because obviously your parents have the best intentions for you. And like, you should absolutely follow their guidance and, you know, what they're telling you to do. And so I just basically on purpose had, I don't like to say the word flunked, but that's basically what I did. I purposefully not passed my class, and I lost the scholarship. And so I was like, Mom, I lost the scholarship. I'm coming back home. And she's going to honestly hate me for telling this story.
Why did you bring that up?
I know. Why did you talk about that? You know, but honestly, I feel like it's something that can be shared, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that did not finish college.
Yeah.
They started it. They're not proud of not finishing it. And that's to say that your journey isn't done. Your life is not over because you didn't finish what you may have started.
Yeah.
Sometimes different paths are meant for different people. And it's crazy to think that, you know, in one day I may go back to school. I told my husband, it may happen, you know, just so I can say that I finished, you know, something that I started. But I feel like I had that held over my head for so long, and I allowed it to really like define who I was. So I got really insecure with like the decisions that I was making in my life. You know, I wouldn't do them with such confidence. I was just like, well, I made that one mistake back then, you know, and it was a huge mistake. So, and to me, I've heard people and business owners alike that say, you know, college isn't for everyone. But I want to share a message of like, if that's the path that you want to walk and you want to get your college degree, do it, you know?
Yeah.
It may not be for everyone, but if that's what you desire, like, you know, go for that and don't give up. Same thing with owning a business. If I'm sharing the message of don't give up when you own your own business and walk through those, you know, trials and tribulations, do the same, you know, in college. And 4 years is not forever. And you can certainly, you know, just be patient with yourself. And like my mom said, then you'll be able to work, you know, the rest of your life or whenever you retire or what have you. You know, if you're really itching to work that bad.
Yeah, really.
So that would be a failure. And I'm glad that I kind of got over the fact of the lie of, you know, that I told myself that my journey that was the end. Like that defined me, that choice in my life defined me. And that I wasn't going to be successful doing anything else because I wasn't even able to finish the 4 years, you know? So that's my failure. Just to be really real with everyone.
Yeah, no, that is real. And, I'm in that same kind of story too. I went to college on a football scholarship and
Yeah.
it wasn't the same as in high school. There was like a camaraderie and stuff like that. And once you go to college football, which was what I played, it was more, you were a number. And it was like, all right, next guy. There really wasn't like a personal relationship like I had with my coach at the time, who was a big mentor. And the whole thing about college, I mean, my folks were the same way. They wanted me to so bad to go and get like a master's degree or something, in something.
Yeah.
And I kind of did the same thing. I was like,
do it in anything, but just get it.
Yeah, just go do it. And college, when I was growing up, it was like, this is where you need to go. This is what you got to do. This is the only way. Mm-hmm. Or the Mandalorian, this is the way.
Yeah.
Whatever he said. That was the only way.
Right.
And I ended up coming back here and was going to school, and I ran out of money.
Right.
I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a scholarship coming back here, and I'm like, do I want to continue to go to school and get in debt and start going minus, or do I want to start working?
Right.
And that's a real thing too. And what I'm getting at is we both really grew from that.
Yeah.
In a way, and we didn't have to go and get this, this degree or whatnot.
Right.
And I'm not knocking people who have a degree. I'm like,
right. No.
I have family. My wife has a degree.
Right.
She's she's so smart, and she
Yes.
deserves everything that happens. But it's
Right.
just, like you said, it's not for everybody. And I think people should look outside of the box more and say, hey, maybe that's not something I want to do right now. Go try and find something that you love that's outside of that, because the way that this predetermined road is created for us as we're growing up, especially, in the school system, is we're going to define what you love for you.
Absolutely.
And so being an entrepreneur, you step outside of these lines and these boxes constantly.
And you find it for yourself.
And it's awesome. And then you end up, helping people with their needs.
Exactly. And that's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I think finding what you love and then also building those relationships and being able to like really impact people and touch lives, Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds cliche, especially with photos, but it's the most amazing thing to see somebody, their gallery, the completed gallery of like a family session, and then delivering it to them and then thinking like, these photos get to stay with them forever. Like these are going to be on their walls. These are going to be the moments that they show their kids, their children's children, like for generations to come, you know? And going back to like what you said, the failure was a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so nice because my family, they don't see it as a failure. They're very nice to me. They weren't like, at the time, yes. Were they disappointed? Yes.
Yeah.
But now they're asking me for advice,
Oh,
like
yeah.
what can I do to be debt free, or what can I, what kind of businesses should I start? So now like the bug is in my family that now they want to start their own businesses.
That is so awesome.
And I'm like, yes,
oh, that is so awesome.
We should celebrate.
I'm so pumped hearing that right now. Yeah.
And they're asking me like, for inspiration of like a business name, or what are certain things that I should implement in my business to make it very organized or like just successful in general. Not to say that I know all the answers, no, but I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and like help them get to wherever they need their business to get to supplement any kind of income that they were earning prior, you know, or just to be something for them to have an outlet, a creative outlet, and I feel like had I let that failure stop me, obviously that would be the end. And then there would be no cool story, but after, kind of, I guess, dropping out of like college, if, that's a thing. So
we won't, I don't like the,
I know, drop out
of, what was it? Kanye West college dropout, Yeah. I think there,
there's a whole album about it.
We could say dropout, or we could say, a self-learning hiatus or something.
There you go.
What I mean? Like,
that's exactly what it
Let me
is.
figure this out.
That's exactly what it was. Because then it redirected me into, I got the job, like, so after Dairy Queen and then going to college, did my discovery and hiatus. And then I went into retail. So retail with, I don't know if you guys know the mall, La Encantada.
La Encantada, yeah.
Yeah, mall. And so I was working there for a couple of years. And then that's right after that job, then I got into the finance industry. So it may have taken me like an extra year or so. But see, I was being hired for the positions that people with degrees had studied for 4 years because I had the experience in the bank. Because I started working for the bank around 20 years of age or 21.
Yeah.
And so when they had promoted me to get my investment licenses, you know, there was potential candidates that had bachelor's degrees, and they were starting them at teller. You know, so see how that works. And it's like, that's why I say I love the idea of college. And if you get a scholarship for it, great.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it on student loans, that's a whole nother story.
Blood pressure starts going up. Oh, no.
You know, and it's hard, you know, to get out of like the loans and stuff like that. Just speaking from like friends who've done that.
Well, I can tell you from experience. I took one out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I gotta
Right.
get this done, and then
Right. And see, and that's like, my brain was just thinking like, well, okay, I'm learning from all of these people's experiences and walks of life that I meet. And they would have, you know, they would go to school for, you know, to become a therapist or whatever, you know, their journey was. And then they would graduate with like thousands of dollars in debt. And I was just like, that's like, I think it's like society is telling us that we have to, you know, walk through this formatted pathway.
yeah.
And it's, like you said, not necessarily for everyone.
Well, here's another, you know, fact.
Yeah.
You could say having a degree doesn't make you a good worker.
Yes. Wow. That's good.
I mean, I've seen
That's
people
good.
that have, you know, big time degrees that are lacking some other.
The work ethic is like,
Exactly, work ethic. Yeah. So yeah, there's no substitute for hard
Right.
work, and
Right.
yeah. So I
Right.
just wanted to throw that out there with what
Right.
you were saying. I
No,
feel like
and
it was
that's so
appropriate,
true.
because you know,
Yeah.
if somebody listening to this is going, yeah, man, I'm writing that like in between part where I'm like, man, maybe I should quit or don't drop out or whatever you want to call it. Maybe I want to go and explore.
Right.
Maybe this is the thing that they're waiting to hear. Like, hey, I can go and do something
there's another
else.
option.
There is another option.
There are other journeys that you can take,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're going to be either the same equivalent of hard work,
Mm-hmm.
or one may be a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And to be honest, yeah, owning my own business is a little bit harder because you have to take it with you everywhere you go. Not that you have to, but you do. Like you know, like I said earlier, you're answering emails really early, you're staying up, you know, you're it's like all hours of the day.
It never stops.
It doesn't stop. Right. So is it harder? Yes. Versus like at a bank, you just clock in at 9, clock out at 5, or now it's like 8 to 6 and stuff like that. But, you know, I just, as someone who just, you know, went from that to now this, it's like, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's more
Yeah.
rewarding, even though it's harder. It's definitely more rewarding. There's more freedom.
You like the challenge, though. Just
And
admit it.
it's challenging,
You like
you know.
it.
I do like the aspect of being able to kind of fuse the two together, like
Yeah.
finance and photography. You know, I try to kind of share little nuggets, you know, with like my mentees,
Yeah.
of certain things that they can do to make sure that their business is like, you know, financially stable and making sure that it's very, you know, organized. But the challenge, yes. And it's never, like I said before, like photography, you never stop learning. You can master in certain things. You can specialize in senior portraits. You can specialize in weddings. You really can learn all the lighting and, you know, control the lighting as much as possible.
Yeah.
But it's always evolving. Like photography is always evolving. There's mirrorless cameras out there now. You've got phones that
Yeah,
are
iPhones,
taking
yeah.
incredible like photo and video. It's just technology, there's no end to it,
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also endless stories to tell. So you may be used to telling wedding stories,
Yeah.
love stories, but you then get into landscapes and doing nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just there's so many different things and aspects that can be fused in with your photography journey.
Yeah, no doubt. What is your advice to listeners who are interested in becoming a photographer and or owning a photography business?
My advice would definitely be I think first and foremost is just to make sure that you kind of put away to the side any negative comments, like people telling you that you can't do this, you can't make an income or a profit, and you can't be like rich based off of, photography, because they think that it's just a hobby, or just anything that anybody negative has to say. Like, just take it with a grain of salt, put in the work that and the potential that you have, like put that together and run with your passion. Because any time that you decide to do what you love, and you want to make an income from it, and you put the steps, in line, and, design it in that way for it to go forward like that, then yes, it will become an income for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I also shared this before, is just that when you decide, like you're set on a goal and you write it down, because I always do that for like my 1-year plan, and then a 5-year plan, and then a 10-year plan,
Mm-hmm.
your brain just, subconsciously will start to make decisions in your life to align with those goals to make them happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like when you see it on paper and you're like, okay, that's a goal, that's a goal, that's a goal. Okay, what do I have to do to get there? And right underneath the goals, I will write down what are the steps that I have to take to actually achieve this goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so crazy how like that works. I don't know who I heard it from, where they were saying, they journaled, or, they just wrote it down every year, and it worked.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really cool that like your mind will really do that for you, and just make decisions in your life that are based off of those goals, and then I guess lastly is just to not allow that fear to stop you, or doubt, and to not compare yourself to the next photographer, and really believe in yourself. Like, take a bet on you. How many times have you taken a bet on so many other things? And even like applying to a job, a corporate job, you're taking a bet that they're going to help you provide for your family. They're going to help you provide for that car payment, or they're going to help you, XYZ. But take a bet on you for once and see where that gets you. Like, obviously you can't, again, like you have to do it logically and realistically, but if you do it, the possibilities are really endless. And I feel like people really grasping that concept see the results of that.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
Do it. Go for it.
Yeah, go
for it. Hey, so on your website,
Yes.
because I went on it, and I've been on it before this, just because I saw that we were talking about your presets were available online and stuff. So I also went on there to look at that, and I think that's really cool. That's something I haven't seen. I'm sure it's been going on for a little bit, but you're the first one in like my friend circle that has made presets available, and I just kind of want to let the listeners know how to connect with you and how to see those and go on your website and all that. How do they connect with you?
So they can find me on either visiting my website at www.victoriacjones.com, or they can find me. I'm really active on Instagram at Victoria Jones Photography. And if they wanted to email me, victoriajonesphoto@outlook.com.
Okay.
But the social media aspect, like Instagram, is mainly where they can find me very active.
Right on. And we'll put all that information into
Yeah.
the podcast details for the listeners to
Thank
just go
you.
and get the links quickly. Thank you for providing that. I've got this question for you. Common myth about photography you might want to debunk.
Yeah, that one I was able to clarify.
It's kind of a
And
blessing it didn't.
No, yeah, and like
work out the first
pinpoint. But really, it's just that photography is just about, taking a picture by putting your finger on the shutter button and then you're done. I feel like, sometimes people don't necessarily understand all the process that it takes to actually edit an entire gallery for you. You're not paying a photographer just based off of the amount of time that you see them face to face, but you're paying for their editing time.
Yeah.
And the editing time is what's very time consuming and is really behind the scenes. Like, I don't know of any photographers that are like showcasing every single moment of like an editing session. And it's not as glamorous as people may think. I feel like, of course you have your office and it's super cute and Pinterest worthy, but it involves like kids running in and out of the room and you're like, okay, go ask your dad. Or, just that kind of, it's just not as glamorous as people think, but there's a lot of time. And I feel like photographers that are very passionate about what they do, their heart is literally poured into this gallery, every single one. And so that takes time, that definitely takes patience on like the client's behalf and then also the photographer's behalf. But I don't know. I've just seen so many, comments or like people talking about it and I love the people who actually ask the questions. Like, how long does it take you to actually edit, a whole entire gallery?
Well, tell us.
And yeah, I guess I can. So, I mean, for a wedding, for me, like a wedding gallery, it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 complete days, like full days.
Yeah.
And that's because I do like skin retouching in every photo, like if it's needed. You're taking out objects that are very distracting in weddings. A lot of the time you find those in the getting ready photos, where especially the girls getting ready photos, because you'll have like their makeup like all over the counters, and most of the time we prep for that and I let the client know. This most recent wedding, it was amazing because she was able to get 2 rooms. So one room was completely just for photos. The other room was completely just for getting ready. So when I arrived, she had all the girls and everything in the getting ready room. And it was like, there was dresses being tossed over. There was like just everything going on in that room. And it was awesome. And then she's like, here's a key for the other room. And I go in there, it's like peaceful, it's quiet, it's super clean. And it was amazing. So mostly that's like what, we're spending time on. But of course, you're going into like tone curves, you're going into coloring, you're going into white balance, you're going into like so many different tools. You're enhancing, people's, like, let's say their lash line, or you're enhancing the brows, or, there's just so many different aspects. And you guys can attest to media and audio, and it's not just a click of a button, and then also people kind of question, well, why are you so expensive? And I'm like, well, not me specifically, but photographers in general. It's like, photographers charge so much money. And it's like, well, those are the only things that are going to last forever from your day, you know? Like, that's the only thing that's going to, not the cake, not the flowers, not the this, although those things are beautiful arrangements and like, that's what actually makes the photos, but those are the things that I would debunk.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
If anybody's asking why it's expensive, like, do you want to come hang out with me for 2 to 3
I know.
days of your time? And sit right here and see what I'm doing?
Exactly.
Tell me how you feel at the end. I'm not paying you, by the way. Just sit right there. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
And it's funny too, really quick, is just my husband, he came along with me a couple weddings back, and he like, every time I come home from a wedding, I'm just like exhausted. And the next day they call it the wedding hangover. of course, we're not drinking on the job or anything like that, but it just feels like your body got hit by a bus, you know? And it's because you're squatting down. You're like, your back is hunched over. You're doing whatever it takes to get that shot, you know?
Yeah.
You're climbing on ladders. You're like laying on the floor, like whatever it takes. And he went with me, and by the end of the night, he was just like, I don't know how you do that. And I was like, and he's like, I just understand now, like, why you are so exhausted. And then it's the following day, you're still exhausted. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a 8, 9, 10-hour day, you know? And if we're traveling for it, it's even longer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just,
Adds
you
up.
know, but all of those things, you roll them all up and you present them to me and say, this is what you have to do what you love. And I'd be like, yes, let's do it. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm like, all I need is some Sour Patch, like those watermelon Sour Patch. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The candies.
Yeah.
And I get an Arizona tea.
And that's
And
your
I'm
fuel
good.
to go.
Yeah.
That's you go.
And my
Everybody's
break.
got their drinks and
Their snack.
their snacks. How do I survive this?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're coming to the end to this, but before we do, I have this segment that is
Yes.
in every episode, and it is exceptionally bad dad jokes. So frightfully awful yet wonderfully spiffing, volume 1.
I'm excited.
There's still plenty of real estate in here for us to use, so we will read a joke apiece. And if you have any off the top stuff that you would like to say,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to jump in and tell us one right now if you do.
Well, last night, and it's so funny because now when I hear every single dad joke, I'm going to think of you guys. I don't know if it's necessarily a dad joke, but my daughter, she was upstairs and she yells down to her dad. She's like, Dad, what time is the best time to see the dentist?
What time?
She said 2:30.
Oh,
And I was laughing so hard. I thought it was
that's a good
funny. It was cute.
that is good. That is good.
And so now, see, like he's passing on this
Yes.
dad joke torch to the whole family.
You know, you have a problem when you go on to Facebook like I do, and you actually follow. 'Cause, like, I'm so cheesy.
Your daughter?
I have a daughter. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not yet. She isn't here yet, but she's on her way.
You are well prepared.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she's gonna be hearing all these jokes.
I've got the dad joke page that I follow, and I have this book, but I'm gonna get volume 2, so at some point. But anyways,
How funny.
since you did one off the top, I will grab one out of here.
Okay.
All right. I think let me see. Some of them are just so bad I'm not even gonna read it, so that's why I'm skimming it.
I read one like that last time. I was like, oh.
Oh. Okay. Did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers?
No.
They say he made a mint.
He made a what?
A mint.
I don't get it.
Like money. Like the money
Oh,
term.
yes,
It's really, see, that's really bad. That's really bad.
Wait, you asked about, say that one more time. The question.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I heard it wrong.
Did you hear about the guy who invented did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers?
Oh, lifesavers. See, I heard lightsabers.
Oh,
So I
like
thought
Star
it was
Wars.
a Star Wars joke. And then I was like waiting for the punch about Star Wars.
Oh no.
And it was mint. Lightsabers.
Oh no. Oh, maybe I should do a different one. I should do a different one.
You can redeem it, David.
Okay. Man, I'm like dialing in on some bad ones here.
Every page you turn to,
Okay, here we
it's
go.
all bad
This
ones.
one's a little dark. Sorry.
Okay.
Why are cemeteries so noisy?
Oh no. Why?
Because of all the coffin.
Oh my goodness. That's funny though.
Your turn.
That one's pretty funny. Okay.
I got the eye roll from Nereda in the background, so I know that it was good.
Let's see. Oh,
While she's looking, just want to let the listeners know that Nereda's in the back doing all the audio and taking care of the sound for us, and we appreciate her efforts and everything she does for the podcast. And we look at her when we tell bad dad jokes to see her reaction.
Okay. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? You've probably heard this one.
How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh?
Mm-hmm.
Eight? I don't know. 8 tickles?
That's a good guess. It's tentacles.
Tentacles. Oh.
That was funny, huh? It made you guys think.
Oh, what about you? You got one? You got one in the vault? She's like, man, I wonder if that's like him telling me that I have to have one ready from now
I
on.
know.
I'm on my
You're putting her on the spot.
the bad dad joke page right now.
Oh my goodness, there's a bad dad joke page.
Yeah.
David. I'm gonna have to tell my husband.
They're like memes too. Like this one, it says, "Bro, can you pass me the pamphlet?" And it says, "Bro, sure."
I like that one.
All right, that's enough cheesiness for me. I'm sorry. I apologize. All right, so before we get out of here, please let us know how to connect with you and the best way to connect with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So www.victoriacjones.com, and then also on Instagram at Victoria Jones Photography. And then you can also email me, victoriajonesphoto@outlook.com.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure having you, the first female entrepreneur on the show.
So exciting.
It was amazing learning about your story and your outlook on life. It's so positive.
you.
I love it. We love positive vibes here at LTD Media Studios. If you're interested in being on the podcast, feel free to reach out to us. You can email us, message us on Facebook, however you need to get a hold of us. Also, I just want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine who owns Rad Dad Coffee. It's amazing coffee. It's delicious. I subscribe to it. I drink it, and you should too. All right. Well, we thank you for listening. Please support and subscribe. Thank you.
Hi, this is Tammy with Copper Creek Cookies. We've been baking smiles for over 15 years. We can print anything on our individually wrapped logo cookies. What a great way to market your business on our sweet, awesome treats. For more info, check out coppercreekcookies.net.